Welcome to the Hockey Writers Blackhawks Banter, a weekly show with our top Chicago Blackhawks writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from Chelsea Dagger to the Madhouse on Madison, our team covers everything that happens with the Hawks. So get comfortable, grab a beverage. It's time for some Blackhawks Banter. Blackhawks Banter.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the brand new episode of Blackhawks Banter presented by the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Greg Boyce, and I'm joined by my fellow Blackhawks writers over at thehockeywriters.com. We have Gail Kauchuk, Brooke Laforno, Sean Filippelli. How is everybody today?
Doing great.
Well, thank you.
Good. This is our 55th episode, double nickels of Blackhawks Banter, which, that's pretty cool. It's the Erik Gustafsson episode of Blackhawks Banter. So if your back hurts after listening, that's why. So we're just going to jump right into everything we want to talk about. The Blackhawks, they had a really good road trip. They stepped it up in class a bit. They beat the Washington Capitals. I don't think any of us predicted that. They lost to the New York Rangers, but they played really well. That's another really good team. And then the Islanders are a team that should be good, but just for whatever reasons, they've dealt with a lot. They spent a month on the road to begin the year. They've had COVID, they've had injuries. They're underachieving. And of course, that turned out to be like the toughest game of the weekend, but they pulled it out, exciting shootout fashion. So 4 out of 6 points this past week. I don't think any of us predicted 4. I think a couple of us had 3.
Yeah.
I don't think I had them getting any because you know me. So anyway, let's talk about what we've been watching, and we're going to start we'll talk about our lineups and who's producing and who's not, as we do almost every week here in Blackhawks Banter. Sean, you wanted to talk about how the big names are producing right now, and we've discussed many times that this is a top-heavy team. They need their big players to produce in order to be successful. We've been seeing that. Guys like Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, Seth Jones, Marc-Andre Fleury, guys we expect good things from. And then, you get a guy like Brendan Hagel, who's been, keeps surprising us with some great production. So we can only imagine where this team would be if those guys collectively got in a slump at the same time. So Sean, you wanted to talk about these big names, but real quick, like who do you think has been the Blackhawks' most valuable player since Derek King took over pretty much a month ago?
Well, I mean, listen, what's been nice is that we've seen an elevation, pretty much throughout the lineup. There's a few that are still struggling, and they continue to, the Dachs and the Stromes, for example. But, for the most part, the Stars have elevated, and that's been great to see. Bias aside, you can't help but look straight to Marc-Andre Fleury. 6-2-0, 944 save percentage, 1 shutout since King took over. The weird thing here is, and let's call a spade, there's not as much of a correlation between the head coach and the goalie as there is between the head coach and how they can impact the defense, the forwards, the line structures, etc. However, calling it what it is, since King came in, Fleury has gotten back to the way that we expected him to be. That's the version of Fleury that these Blackhawks need, and he's gotten back to that. You see it in his gameplay, you see it in his agility, you see it in his drive to his puck battles, so to speak, right? Last game, he's all over the place. He's doing everything he can to stop the puck. We didn't see that in October. For whatever reason, since King came in, he's doing that more. So it's hard to not look straight to Fleury as a great example of this point, because while the rest of the lineup has elevated, you still had Kane getting points, still had DeBrincat getting points. Jones was still trying to get himself into place while Colleton was still around. For some reason, King comes in, we see a new version of Fleury, everything else elevates.
We are not worthy of this man. We just are not worthy of him.
He sure is nice to have around.
I think, he's definitely elevated. And I think some of that has to do, obviously he's as confident as he's been since he's been to Chicago. You watch him the last couple games and he's moving, he's getting up in the crease. And he's moving around, and that's a sign of a goalie playing with confidence. When he's playing at the top of the blue paint, he's not afraid. And I think some of that has to do with just the team in front of him is playing with more structure now than they ever had been before. And like knowing where your teammates should be and that they're going to be where they should be at the time they should be there, that also plays a role in the confidence of a goaltender. I think he got caught off guard a lot of times those first few games. We're like, oh my God, why is this guy wide open? He should be covered. And, so it definitely, they all play off each other. It's fun to see how that works. Once one guy gets going, it just seems to be contagious. I mean, I don't know if I should be saying contagious during all this stuff, but it's a good kind of contagious. Gail, yesterday during the Hawks, I should say Sunday, this is coming out Tuesday, Sunday during the Hawks Islanders game, we kind of had a little fun Twitter exchange about Alex DeBrincat and how Dylan Strome, hey, he's producing when he plays with Alex DeBrincat. How weird is that? It's not like anybody's been asking for that. But you replied that, hey, anybody that plays with Alex DeBrincat these days is going to get points. We used to say that about Patrick Kane all the time, that, hey, just put a guy with Patrick Kane and he's going to get points. Do you think, Gail, that the Cat has now surpassed Patrick Kane as the best player on the Blackhawks?
Yes, I believe he has, at least as an all-around player. We spoke in the past about how he's been a lot more responsible defensively and even contributes on the penalty kill, and he's a feisty little guy. He's not afraid to check. He's not afraid to hit, even when he's little. And offensively, the puck just seems to be following him around right now. Let's see, last 3 games, Capitals game, 1 goal, primary assist on the power play, Rangers game, a goal, Islanders game. I don't really understand why he didn't have an assist on Strome's goal there, because Gustafsson passed it and he touched it there before it kind of shot off to Strome. So, he leads the team overall with 14 goals. He's chipping away on those assists now. He's got 5, like I just said, a couple in the last couple games. 19 points, third overall on the team there. I mean, he has just got it going on right now, and I don't see that changing. He's being consistent, and it's just really, really, really fun and awesome to watch.
Yeah, for sure. He's it's not a knock on Kane, I don't think, in any way, but I agree that he's kind of surpassing. Kane's just been too inconsistent this year. He has 3 or 4 games where he's like, oh my God, it's the Patrick Kane, and then there's a couple games where like, did he play last night? I don't remember.
I agree with that.
Where DeBrincat is there every night,
more
he's
consistent,
making a difference. And a more all-around complete player.
What's weird is you can tell through skating too. Kane, I think we talked about this last year too. Just the way he skates sometimes looks almost kind of nonchalant, or I don't know what that is. Just more like, I don't know.
It works when he's getting points, Kane, right? But when he's not producing, then he looks lazy. So it's just
right. That's what. Yeah.
I've always referred to that as his give a F meter on Twitter. Like, it looks like his give a F meter is low tonight. Let's move along. So,
whereas DeBrincat gives
DeBrincat
F all the
skates
time.
with a lot of like fire lately.
Yeah, you can't accuse him of taking a shift off. That's for sure. Speaking of guys who don't take shifts off, Brendan Hagel. He's been, a fan favorite. He's been a favorite of ours here on Blackhawks Banter. He's done real well for himself, playing in a top 6 role, even though his skill set is probably more traditionally suited for like a 3rd or 4th line, but he's making the best of his opportunity. He's got 8 goals, 11 points in 21 games. He's on pace to score right around 30 goals this year, which I don't think anybody would have guessed.
Nice.
He's got 2 goals and 3 points in his last 5 games. Brooke, do you think he can keep up this kind of production for the rest of the season?
Yes, I do. And it's weird to say because, like you said, he probably is more fitted for a bottom 6 role, which isn't a knock on him. It just is what it is. But also, he's playing with good players on the top line. If you're playing with Patrick Kane or Jonathan Toews or even Alex DeBrincat, you're going to produce. I think we even talked about this too, about you could put all of us on a line with them and we'd probably produce too. It just is what it is. And that's good for him because honestly elevates his game, which is fun to see. But yeah, I actually do think he will keep this up the rest of the season. And honestly, they need him to because they don't have much production really anywhere else right now. So, I mean, if it's working for him, it's working for him. I mean, he's 2nd on the team in goals right now, which honestly is really bad if you think about it. If Hagel is like one of your leading goal scorers, then yikes. But good for him, though. I do think he'll keep it up, though.
Yeah, I don't really see a reason why he can't. He plays a simple game where he is what he is, and he'll out grind you for a goal if he has to. We're gonna flip the coin here. We're talking about our our big players that are producing, and we're going to talk about 3 who aren't. And I think we're at the point of the season where it's not a concern anymore. It's more of just like it's got to change. We've talked a lot over the last couple of weeks about trying to get some balance in the lineup and provide some secondary scoring on the bottom 6, but the truth is the top 6 isn't scoring enough. So you can't really have secondary scoring unless you get some primary scoring. The Blackhawks have scored after the Islanders game 30 5-on-5 goals this season. That's the second fewest in the league. Only the Islanders have less, and they didn't get any last night. They have a minus 23 goal. I think it's actually minus 22 goal differential now at 5-on-5. And that's a huge reason why it's going to be a struggle for this team to make the playoffs. It's the offense has been a 3-headed monster. It's been Kane, it's been DeBrincat, it's been Seth Jones, who's been, facilitating from the back end. But the 3 guys that we really need to step up if this team wants to turn a corner, that's Jonathan Toews, that's Kirby Dach, and that's Dominik Kubalik. These guys, Toews doesn't have a goal yet this season. That's beyond concerning. That is now disappointing. Dach has 3 goals on the season, 2 of which have come on the power play. Kubalík finally snapped his goal drought. I think it got up to 15 games before he scored that power play goal against the Capitals, but he's got 0 goals at 5-on-5. So you're talking 3 of the guys, half of your top 6 that were penciled in for the top 6 at the start of the year have combined for 1 5-on-5 goal in 24 games. That's not good. That's awful. And it's unacceptable. So we can sit here and we can scream to the heavens all we want about who needs to play on that bottom 6 to add scoring and who should come up from Rockford to, liven up some secondary scoring. But the bottom line is until these 3 guys start doing what they're brought here to do, and that's score goals, it's not going to make any difference. We can shower DeBrincat and Hagel with all the accolades we want, but this team isn't going to go very far unless 1977 and 8 start producing now. They need to start doing it. And Kubalík. It's like,
that's a new name.
I butchered your G in his name. Kubalík scored on the power play against the Capitals, as I just mentioned. But he's been goalless in the 2 games in New York since then. We were kind of hoping that was the goal that was going to get him moving. What do you think he needs to do to get going? I know you mentioned that he's shooting more. Is that what you need to see more out from him, Gail?
Yeah, a few weeks ago, Derek King indicated that he's been happy with Kubalik's play away from the puck. So he's, not too concerned with the fact that he's not scoring. But then again, that was a couple weeks ago, and we're still not seeing the production. It's still pretty much the same. So like you said, the good news is he did score. So hopefully that gave him a little bit of a confidence boost. But I do think that they're working on different facets of his game with him, and he's growing as a player, and that's going to involve better 2-way play. But now you need to combine that with what comes naturally. And yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. I think he needs to start shooting the puck more now that he's kind of maybe got a little bit more of a rhythm away from the puck and with defense and with, the 2-way play. In the first 13 games, he averaged 2.6 shots on goal per game. And then the 9 games since then, it's only been 1.3. So it really has gone down. He had 3 shots on goal versus the Rangers, and the Islanders 2 shots on goal. Again, only a little bit over 12 minutes of playing time. I've gone on and on and on about how I think he should get more playing time and be on the top 6. But he also is building some chemistry on that third line, I think, with Henry Borstrom and Jujar Kara. Now, I know Kara's been out a couple games, but I think that they might have some chemistry going on, and hopefully they can build on that moving forward. So I still have my fingers crossed that Kubalík is on the right track and will start scoring some goals.
I hope so. I mean, I picked the guy to lead the team in goals at the beginning of the year, so stop making me look like an idiot and start scoring some goals. Dach is another guy that's been struggling. We've talked about it, but it definitely sounded like someone was in his ear about shooting the puck more last night. He only was credited with 2 shots on goal, but There wasn't from a lack of trying. He missed a few wide, but he seemed to get the puck and want to shoot it, which is a refreshing change.
Yeah.
Especially after that play the other night where he tried to pass it back when he was right in front of the net. But he's also been better at the face-off circle his last couple games. He's taken fewer draws, but against Washington, he was 55.6. He was an even 50% against the Rangers and 42.9% success rate against the Islanders. So that was pretty good, considering he's been hovering around 30% on the season. So after seeing these past 3 games and after seeing him be more aggressive last night, Brooke, do you think he's about to turn that corner and we could start expecting more out of him?
Honestly, my first kind of thought was no. I don't know what it is, but I just really don't see much changing. I feel like kind of what Sean said in the preview post about, I think we have to accept that he is what he is at this point. I mean, when he's shooting like that, something's bound to go in, but we don't really see that consistently from him. And usually, even if he is right in front of the net or anything, the shots never usually get on net for him. It's really frustrating. It's like annoying in a way, like you said, that he's this high draft pick that can't really score very well. And I don't know what it is. And I want to be hopeful about this, that he's still young and stuff, but I don't feel like we're seeing that much progress. But shooting is good. And like I said, the more he shoots, something's bound to go in, but I don't see it all of a sudden him becoming a great goal scorer. So it's kind of give and take here. He's got potential, but I'm not really impressed this season, to be honest. And it's kind of getting hard to.
Yeah, it's covering the AHL as I do. It's tough because every player hits a point where do they still have potential, or are they just not ever going to be what we thought they're going to be? I still think it's too early on Dach to call him a bust, but he's definitely trending in that direction more than being the guy we were hoping he is. But hopefully, we're seeing some progression, and hopefully that keeps going in the right direction, and we get more out of him because his team needs it. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about our captain, Jonathan Toews, who's been such a beloved player for this fan base for years, and rightfully so. One of the greatest players ever play on the team, the greatest captain this team has ever had. Sean, how tough is it to watch him struggle this year? And you could see the frustration on the ice most nights. It's hard to watch. What's that been like for you?
I think what's toughest is, and I'm sure we can all agree, this is far from a hot take here, is with the tough year he had last year, and most of it still being a mystery, but the reality is he was out with what he was out with. And we all sort of expected there might be a resurgence. Toews is back. Let's see what he can do. Infuse him into the lineup. Let's see that leadership again. Let's see that prowess, and let's get that back, on the Blackhawks right where they need it. And he's fallen flat. So it's tough as a fan because he's not doing what we expect him to do on the offensive side of things. But it's also tough, like you mentioned, on a personal level, on a human level rather, just to see him struggle in that way, because you thought here's an opportunity for him to come back, guns a-blazing, so to speak, and really, shoot out there with quite an impact when he missed all of last year. And, you look at last year and how many times did we say, if only Toews was here, I wonder what could have been. They had so much surprise success. If only Toews was there, but he's back and he's not really doing what we all expected that he should have been last year. And he's still not back to where we thought he would be by returning back to what we thought was full health. So it's certainly tough to watch because you just don't know what's going on. You don't know if there's still a nagging injury or if it's just all mental. You just don't know. So he still is logging over 18 minutes a night. He's still winning faceoffs more than he's losing them. He's still playing in every possible scenario of the game, but it just feels like he's not getting the puck luck. So until that changes, I'm not sure. Similar to what Brooke said about Dach, I don't know how we can expect much more of the same until he starts getting some bounces his way, and that's tough.
It's definitely he's not the Jonathan Toews that made him a beloved player, but it's hopefully, as we've been saying, something goes. We thought he had a goal a couple games ago, was taken off the board. So you get that first one, you start gripping your stick a little less tight, and strange things have happened. So we'll see how that works out. I'm going to take a quick second here to remind everybody, if you're watching all of our lovely faces on our YouTube channel, make sure you're subscribing to the Hockey Writers channel over there on YouTube so you don't miss any show that we have. Not only Blackhawks Banter, but we've got a whole universe of Hockey Writers shows for you to check out. We've got team-specific shows. We've got general shows. We've got all kinds of stuff for you to consume. We won't tell your boss if you listen to him at work. Your secret is safe with us. Also, you want to stay informed. Another way to do it is sign up for the Morning Skate newsletter. We'll give you all the news and information and special features, exclusive special features, right to your inbox every morning. The Morning Skate. Head over to morningskate.io and add your email address to that list. You won't regret it. Lots of good stuff coming there every day. And of course, we're also on Discord for you crazy kids who like that Discord stuff. You can join the Hockey Lounge server over on Discord and join the Blackhawks channel. There's a channel for every team. Join the conversation. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you want to us to discuss. We're always looking for ideas and topics, so we love hearing from you guys. So those are ways to interact with all of us. Of course, you can follow us all on Twitter. You can follow the Blackhawks Banter account, TWH Blackhawks. Follow the Hockey Writers lead account, and then you'll never miss anything when it comes to hockey news. So we'll get back into our topics for the week. And Gail, you want to talk about the power play. Seems to kind of bounced back here. They have 2 power play goals in their last 3 games after just 2 the entire month of November. So Derek King made some changes. Those appear to have worked. Gail, let us know, what changes made do you think help kickstart this power play?
Well, ironically, you mentioned that the rut kind of prompted some changes. It was Jonathan Toews that we just were talking about that actually went to Derek King, and said, he didn't want to play the bumper role anymore. He didn't really feel like it was working. By the way, Kane actually volunteered a while back that they really are missing Tyler Johnson on that top power play unit, who actually is a right-handed shot that played that bumper role, and I think that they kind of took for granted his impact there. So anyway, the units look like this. Okay, so on the top you have Kane, Toews, Dach, Strome, and Gustafsson. So that's your top unit. Second power play unit, DeBrincat, Hagel, Kubalík, Borgstrom, and Seth Jones. So the main difference here is that you're basically having Strome and Gustafsson on the top power play unit, and then moving DeBrincat and Jones down to the second unit, so to speak, which really, you're not loading up with just the top guys on the top power play unit in the name. You're balancing it out more, which is kind of ironic, because that's what we were talking about a show or 2 back with the forward lines, that, oh my gosh, they don't really have enough depth to do that, and they need to power up with a hot top line kind of thing. But that's not really the way that they're going, obviously, here on the power play. Obviously a little bit more balance. I think we all agree that a shakeup was coming, and I'm actually really, really excited that 2 power play goals came from the second unit. So that kind of just goes to show that they have some they're playing well as well. So that's really pretty cool. Real quick, before you guys go on and talk a little bit more about your opinions about the power play, I do really think that this setup is going to help Kubalík, because he's going to have DeBrincat and Seth Jones. Obviously he scored one of those power play goals. And then I also think that it could help Strome too, being on the top there. It could kind of jumpstart him into maybe some more offense, having Kane and Toews to work with. So hopefully this is the beginning of more good things to come on the power play.
For sure. And I don't care what anybody says. The Blackhawks top unit is whatever unit Alex DeBrincat is on. That's how I feel about that. You can call it number 1, number 2 based on the order they go out there, but when your top goal scorer is out there, that's your top unit. Speaking of which, Brooke, Erik Gustafsson is now quarterbacking the quote unquote top unit, the unit with Kane and Toews and Dach. Do you like that move, or would you have rather left Seth Jones in that position, or do you think he's better off on the line he's on?
Oh my gosh, I feel like my name for the show should be no, because I feel like all my answers are no so far, but no, I don't like it. It's worked the past couple times, so I mean, I guess good on that. I mean, you want to do what you got to do, but Gustafsson still scares me. I'm not going to lie. He can be really good and then he can be really bad. So I don't like that feeling of having to take that chance on the power play. And I thought Seth Jones was doing pretty well in that role. He's very good at keeping the puck in, where Erik Gustafsson can get kind of erratic sometimes. So good that it's working right now, but I don't think that's a long-term solution. I do think Seth Jones should probably be in that position.
Yeah, I don't know. Gustafsson's here because of his power play production. Let's face it. That's the reason you bring him in there. You definitely didn't bring him in there for how he plays defense at 5-on-5. So I'm actually okay with that because Gustafsson's more of a shoot first, pass second kind of guy. And with that current configuration, you also have a guy like Kane who will look to pass a lot. And Dach, as we know, likes to look to pass. So it's good to have another shooter. Now, Jones is more of a pass first kind of guy. So you put him out there with DeBrincat and Kubalík, the guys that have the best two shots on this team. That makes sense. So regardless whether you call it first or second, it's all about using their skill sets properly. So if you put Gustafsson out there with guys that pass more, fine. You put Jones out there with guys that shoot more. I think, as we've talked about so much under the past regime, putting guys in positions to succeed, I think that's putting those guys, using them to the best of their abilities. And Sean will kind of talk about that. And when you look at these new look units, do you think that these have a potential to consistently produce going forward, especially considering the 5-on-5 struggles we've been talking about?
Sure, if you can keep the second unit out there at all times, because I don't like the first unit. And I'll agree. I don't want to call it, top unit, because I agree with you, right? Wherever DeBrincat is, that needs to be your top unit. But when you look at that, the first grouping, it just, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It looks like there still needs to be a shakeup there, because you have the three offensive presence who essentially are supposed to complement each other, but they're essentially the same. They're very similar players. They're having similar struggles. So I don't see how that's going to really help your offensive push for your quote unquote top power play unit when they're all struggling in the same manner. So I think there still needs to be a shakeup on that, again, in that first group. I don't know what that looks like, but the reality is the second grouping is getting it done. And frankly, if they can continue to get more of that ice time and they can have more of an opportunity, then I think that they certainly can continue to get it done. I don't think it was as tactical, but the one, there could be a sneaky edge where if they get that quote unquote top unit out there, tire out the penalty killers to start things off, and then quickly get the second unit out on a rush, then maybe they can take advantage of a tired penalty killing squad and pop them in as they have been. But I still think there's a little bit of imbalance there. I don't like, again, that first group, but the second group should stay as is. It's working.
I'm dying that every time something's working, we're all still confused. We're like, I don't know about this.
Yeah, I think right now it'd be safe to say, let's just call it power play 1A, power play 1B, or just whatever. Because yes, the DeBrincat's line should be considered a top unit. Something else that's improved of late, and it's something else that we've all wanted to see forever, is the improved defense. The team defense has played much better of late. Shot suppression, which has been a problem forever, is all of a sudden looking like it's a thing here. The Blackhawks have held their opponents to under 30 shots on goal in 4 out of their last 5 games. Who are these guys? Like, what is going on here? It's amazing how just simplifying things and not having hockey players try and think too much on the ice, how much that actually changes how they play. Brooke, you're the one who wanted to bring up the defense this week. What have you been happy with? Excuse me. From what you've seen over the overall team defense, what's been most impressive in your eyes? Now you get to be positive.
Yeah. I think it's kind of fair to say that. I know we've all been tough on the defense, and it was warranted because there was a lot of issues there. But I was surprised that I really had I think all of us, I don't think had really many negative things to say about how this is going so far. And it's not like they're very flashy about it, but it just, I don't know, they're just in a groove right now. And I think it is shots. Before they were allowing 40 to 50 shots a night. And that was obviously, that's not the recipe for success, but they're limiting chances. And it also comes down on Marc-Andre Fleury too. He's the backbone of this defense in a weird way, because even if they do make mistakes, they bail them out. So it's all kind of just working for whatever reason. They bail each other out, and it's actually a beautiful teamwork thing they got
Working
going
together.
Because they lift each other up. And you know what? It's working, because 2 goals a game. Obviously, I think we all know that's not going to cut it, but the defense has been so good, it doesn't matter. So who knows?
When your offense is struggling, if your defense is there to help you out, knowing you don't have to score 4 goals to win, that's a big push. And hopefully hopefully the defensive play will eventually start leading to better offensive play. And as I just mentioned, the shots against have been much better. 4 out of the last 5 games, they've held their opponent to under 30. Sean, what do you think has been the key to this, especially in the shot suppression department?
Well, I mean, like you said, right? Sometimes simplifying things is best, and sometimes it's a simple answer too. You got to look at the big names on the back end who are getting it done, who are logging the most minutes every night: Jones, Murphy, DeHaan, McCabe. Getting the most minutes, getting the job done. It's really that simple. But like we spoke about in the first segment, where I think they're finding most of their success, I think it's all stemming from a better collective effort. Like we touched on with how Fleury's doing better. Fleury's doing better because the team is doing better. The team's doing better because Fleury's doing better. Same thing can be said about the defense. Everyone seems to be managing their individual responsibilities a lot better these days, in any capacity and in every regard of this lineup. And I think that that's just bleeding into their defense, where their defense is feeling more confident, they're feeling more structured, and they're just having a better time back there. They know that they can rely on a little bit more up front. They can rely on a little bit more behind them. So it puts them in a better position to not play so anxious. They can play a little bit of a better game, be a little more dynamic, which is what we're seeing out of Jones, and he's getting rewarded for that, for example. So it's just really, to me, it's just been a collective effort. I don't think there's one individual answer to why they're allowing less shots, rather than just looking at it and saying the whole team is playing better, therefore they're getting better team results. It's really just that simple.
Yeah. Just being confident, knowing where you're supposed to be. This team looks far less confused over the last 4 weeks. And they just know, they look like they know where they're supposed to be. And that goes a long way in your confidence, where you know that if you're a defenseman, you know your partner is supposed to take care of this part. And you know, if he's there and you don't have to worry about covering him because for some unknown reason he's up at the blue line, then, you know, you could play better too. So simple is good. We've been screaming for simple for a long time. We're getting it. And hey, look, it's working. It's so strange. One of the guys we've talked about a bunch and already this show too is Seth Jones. And after a very rough start, he's definitely settling in. He looks more comfortable, more confident, and he's starting to live up to that billing of being a number 1 defenseman that he was given when he was brought here and signed to his big contract. Gail, do you think his improved play has been the biggest key to the defensive turnaround?
I think it's been a huge factor. He's contributing regular on offense, 1 goal, 4 assists in the last 3 games. He's also been playing almost 30 minutes a night. I actually think he's averaging like 29 minutes a night because he's being tasked with filling in for Connor Murphy and Jake McCabe, who are both out right now, but hopefully will be back real soon. He's doing his job on defense. He's playing even strength. He's playing power play, penalty kill, overtime. He's just really stepping up to the plate. Plus, he leads the team with 19 assists and 22 points. So there's just really not a whole lot to complain about right now. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just didn't want to. They saw what the Blackhawks traded for him and then what he signed for, and a lot of people just were like, "Oh, that's too much." But so far, as I said, that first month was a little rough, but things are looking good. And, he's getting paid what a number 1 defenseman in this market gets paid. And it's looking pretty good the last few weeks. Let's hope that continues. Yeah. All right. We're going to go to our last topic of the night, our last segment, the shootout round, where we get to go 5 rounds, some quick fire questions, fast answers, a little fun to have as on the way out the door. We'll go at round number 1. The Blackhawks, they have another busy week, 3 more games before we get to record again. Tuesday at home versus the Rangers, a rematch. They'll look for some revenge. And then 2 tough games up in Sean's homeland, Thursday in Montreal, and then against those Maple Leafs on Saturday. So 6 points up for grabs. How many are they going to earn? Sean, what do you think?
4, because they're not going to beat the Maple Leafs, but they're going to embarrass the Montreal Canadiens more than the Canadiens have already been embarrassed this season.
That didn't sound biased at all. Little rivalry bias on that one. Brooke, what do you have for us? How many points?
Yeah, I said 4 too. I do think they're going to beat the Rangers and Montreal.
Gail, what do you have for this upcoming week?
Well, apparently I am the negative Nelly because I said 3 points.
3. All right. I'm gonna go with 4. I think they'll beat the Rangers at home. Everybody thinks they're gonna they'll beat the Canadians and lose to the Maple Leafs. I think because hockey's dumb, they'll lose to Montreal and beat the Maple Leafs. Because that's the way hockey is. Just when you think you have it figured out, something stupid happens, and that sounds stupid. All right, last week we predicted who was going to lead the team in points, and Seth Jones, as Gail just said, led with 5 points. I believe that was my pick. Who do we think is going to lead the team in points this week? Brooke, who do you have?
I still think it's going to be Seth Jones.
There you go. Everybody's jumping on the Seth Jones train. I love it. Gail, who's your pick?
Well, I was going to say Seth Jones too. So.
Uh-oh. This is getting weird. Sean, who's your pick for most points?
Don't worry, I'll normalize things because I'm not going to say Jones. I'm going to stick with DeBrincat, and I'm going to up the ante and say he'll get 6.
Nice. All right.
Do you know what? Now it's going to be a player like that's like totally off the radar. Like it's going to be
Kubalík.
Yeah, it's going to be Kubalík.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but I'll go with Patrick Kane. He's due for a couple of those multi-point games. He hasn't had one in a while, and when he gets points, they usually come in bursts. I think he wants to show up his old buddy Panarin on Tuesday night. So, and that's the perfect segue to our round 3 question. Tuesday's game versus the Rangers has the potential for some history, as Marc-Andre Fleury is entering that game with 499 career wins, and our old friend, the bread man, Artemi Panarin, enters the game with 499 career points. Do you think both players are going to hit that magic 500 number on Tuesday night? Gail, what do you think?
I think Panarin will, and if they play Fleury, I think that he can get that win, but I'm not sure if they will. They've been going back and forth. I could see Lincoln getting the Rangers and Fleury getting the Canadians.
I don't know. I think the home crowd a chance at history. I think he'll get out there for it. Give Lincoln and the struggling Canadians.
I hope you're right.
That would make the most sense. But again, we just said hockey's dumb. Sean, do you think we get double 500s Tuesday night?
No, Fleury gets it done and Panarin does not.
Brooke, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they both will. It seems like the Rangers don't go without Panarin and the Blackhawks don't go without Fleury. So I think we'll see both happening.
I think we are going to get just Fleury's 500 win, and I think it's going to come in a shutout, which means our little Russian friend gets no points because they get no goals. That's my prediction. So expect a 9-8 final score with both goalies getting pulled.
Yep.
Dylan Strome. It's officially a Blackhawks banter episode. We're talking about Dylan Strome. He had a big goal Sunday night. He's looking to be playing better because he's playing top 6 minutes with top 6 talent. Is that all it takes for Dylan Strome to start producing, Sean?
I think it helped, but I'm going to give the credit to lucky bounces for Strome so far.
Oh, can't get any love out of Sean for Dylan Strome. But Brooke,
doesn't like him.
Hey, he's turned the page on Seth Jones. Baby steps.
I hope so. I'm gonna go with I hope so.
Gail, what do you think? Is this what he needs to play better?
No, I think he just needed the chance and some direction. I think he'd be playing just as well on the third line because he has a coach that believes in him, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, I definitely think it helps. I think we've been saying it forever. Play him with Alex DeBrincat. That's where he does his best. Put him in a position to succeed. If you think he's a top 6 forward, play him as a top 6 forward. What's he going to do playing with Mike Hardman and Ryan Carpenter? Not a whole lot. Last round of the shootout, round number 5. Last question. Back to our guy Marc-Andre Fleury. When I checked the stats, he actually has a better save percentage and a better goals against average than our old buddy Robin Leonard, the guy that Vegas decided to keep. Granted, Fleury's played 3 fewer games, but Leonard's GAA is over 3 right now. Does this surprise you, Brooke? What do you think?
No, I love Leonard. To anyone that watches, I'm a huge fan of Leonard, but no, I think Fleury is the goalie he is for a reason, and he should be above Leonard in that sense. So,
Gail, do these numbers surprise you at this point of the season?
Not at all. It's the flower.
Sean, I think I know your answer.
No, I'm not surprised. And listen, despite although Fleury's a Blackhawk now, the reality is I've always thought Leonard's overrated. And I think we're just seeing that come to fruition now with Fleury doing what he's doing on this Blackhawks team. So no, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm surprised or not, to be honest with you. The Knights they've had some injuries. They've been playing a lot shorthanded. But I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury is a better goaltender than Robert Leonard. It's been proven for years. We don't have to argue that, but we'll see how we're at the end of the year. Fleury's had a little bit of an issue, finishing strong. And Leonard's kind of been the guy that comes on stronger as the season goes. So we'll see where we're at. This is something we'll keep our eyes on as long as Fleury is in town, because, it's kind of fun to be like, aha, we got the better guy. Especially when you gave us the other guy for literally nothing. All right. That's going to wrap up the Erik Gustafsson, ouch, my back hurts episode of Blackhawks Banter. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it as much as we did recording it. We'll see how our predictions turn out next week when we get back together to discuss all things Blackhawks. Don't forget to hit subscribe on YouTube or subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Sign up for that morning skate, morningskate.io. Join us over on Discord in the Hockey Lounge. Follow us all on Twitter. All that fun stuff. We look forward to hearing your comments and suggestions. And once again, thanks to Gail, Brooke, and Sean for chatting. And we can't wait to do it again next week. See you guys then.